say our prayer for healing, Mishaberach. It's on page 371. And before we pray together, we are especially thinking about the following people who are in need of healing of body, mind, or spirit. Reagan Konecki, Harvey Redak, Peggy Tunick, John DiNicola, Nancy Schwamm, Carol Berzin, Terry Baran, Charles Savitt, Sam Rosenblum, Stuart Walker, David Clark, Kenneth Schneider, Saul Meller, Joanne Price, Iris Clark, Miriam Swidler, Anita Makatonua, Beth Gottlieb, Rose Madnick, Wendy Bass Robb, and George Palmer. And if there are other folks you're thinking of for healing, you can say their names at this time.
Betsy Cole.
We also say a blessing for good things in our lives, little things, big things. So just take a moment to bring one good thing to mind, and then if you'd like to share it, you may share it. You do not have to. One good thing.
I'm going on a bus tour in 2 days. I'm very excited.
I'll be on the same bus. Great. Other good things, yeah.
Family in Detroit have been very supportive of Mogen David Alam for the ambulances in Israel. So we just got a picture of Marshall's brother standing in front of it, and he's actually in a rehab facility for his health in Detroit, and here he is standing next to it.
Next to the ambulance?
With his name.
Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, that's really neat. Yeah.
My sister-in-law called me tonight and said she was leaving for Israel tomorrow for a month. She didn't park at Exchange with her apartment in New York. And I said, how are things there? She said, not good. She said something was stabbed in Tel Aviv today.
Yeah, not so much a good thing at the moment. Yeah, but a good thing that she's going, or that she's there, I guess. Yeah, a good thing that she's there.
She's leaving tomorrow.
She's leaving tomorrow. Yeah, Sarah.
Max is from Minnesota tomorrow. She's really exciting. And my friend Shit at the country station came and we're getting along.
Oh, good. Good. Is there one over here? Do I see another guy? Yeah.
Beverly, my wife, and I feel very blessed to be able to share this Shabbat with you and to be here. We're from Phoenix, and to be here with our Uncle Joe. And so
I'm really
thank you
happy
very
here.
much for your hospitality.
Yeah, it's been really good having you.
And I'm looking forward to my granddaughter's wedding in 2 weeks. So I'm very excited.
Ah, so many good things. All right, so for all these good things, the ones we said out loud, the ones we didn't, we say Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hatov v'hametiv. Praised are you, Adonai our God. Your presence fills creation. You are good, and you make good things happen. Very nice. And that bus tour, by the way, I'll announce, there are still some seats available. This is our CBSRZ Heritage Bus Tour, where we're going to learn about the history of the two synagogues that came together to make this synagogue. So we'll be touring locally, but even though you may know your way around here, you may not know the stories and the places. So if you haven't signed up, I assume that you can just show up that day at this point because it's on Sunday. Because there are plenty of seats left, and then you'll just have to pay when you arrive. But it's at 9:30 in the morning. It's going until 1:30 in the afternoon on Sunday. And there is lunch included. If you're not able to pay the full amount, we can make arrangements. So you can let me know that, or let Sandy Herzog know that. Let's see, what else? So we have Shabbat morning services tomorrow at 10:30, celebrating Max's bar mitzvah. And I hope you'll all come. He has a wonderful teaching for us and reads Torah like a champ, so it'll be beautiful. Our next daytime lunch program that Iris Freeman organizes is happening next Thursday, the 15th at noon. Home-cooked lunch, which means you have to RSVP so she knows how much to make. And we'll be joined by 4 Israeli young people, two emissaries from New London and 2 who are hanging out in the New Haven area this year. Will be with us to talk about what it's like to be a young adult living in Israel. So come, have lunch, let us know you're coming. And next Friday night at services, we will have our choir singing for the first time this season, post-high holidays. And we have a presentation of a piece of art that's being donated to us by a local artist, Jeremy Horseman. And it's a beautiful piece. And he's going to be speaking about it. It has biblical significance. It's a piece depicting Rebecca at the well. So come see the piece, hear him talk about it next Friday nights. My Taste of Judaism class starts up October 18th for 3 Sunday mornings in a row, 9:30 in the morning. Please do let us know if you plan on attending. You don't have to come to all 3. We'd like you to try, to make the commitment if you can. But it's a taste of Judaism. So if you've been away from Jewish study for a while, or you've never studied anything having to do with Judaism, this class is for you. Okay, I think that's everything except to say again thank you to the Conleys for sponsoring the One. And they've disappeared. Sarah's there. Thank you, Sarah. They're probably cutting cake or something.
It was my mom.
Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. V'haaretz hayta tohu vavohu, v'choshech al pnei tehom, v'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. The earth was unformed and void, with darkness over the surface of the deep, and a wind from God sweeping over the water. Vayomer Elohim yehi or, vayehi or. God said, let there be light, and there was light. And that's just the beginning. It's such a beautiful text. And yet, we know these days that this is not how the world came to be, right? Skipping ahead to the 3rd day, we read that God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it. And it was so. And later on, this poetry continues to tell the story of God creating all kinds of animals and creeping things, and then finally, human beings. But we know that evolution is probably really the story, the process by which all of these amazing varieties of living things have come to grow and walk on our planet. So, why, when we are scientifically advanced enough now to know about the Big Bang, when just this week a scientist received the Nobel Prize for showing that a neutrino has mass, why does this text still grab us? Why does it still have such a hold on us? Just this week I had a congregant ask me, where in the Torah are the Neanderthals? The Torah doesn't seem to know about Neanderthals. And I would argue that even if the Torah did know about Neanderthals, it wouldn't really care much about them. Not because the Torah is somehow anti-science, but because the Torah has a different purpose. The modern Jewish thinker, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, is best known these days for having marched with Martin Luther King Jr. from Selma to Montgomery. But his activism sprouted from his thinking on this very Torah portion. Heschel brought forward a concept into Jewish thought that he called radical amazement. When we look at this world, I mean really look at it, whether on a walk in the woods or through a microscope, when we gaze at a super blood moon or use a telescope to see the stars and the planets, we can't help but be amazed. We can't help but feel a deep sense of awe. We can't help but imagine that there is much more to all of this than we can ever see or understand. In his words, Heschel taught that the world in itself is so fantastically mysterious, so challengingly marvelous, that not to realize that there is more than I see, that there's endlessly more than I can express or even conceive, is being intellectually undeveloped. So this is the first stage of amazement. Simply realizing how small we are and how awesome this universe is where we are blessed to dwell. And I believe that the poetry of the creation story in our Torah comes from that sense of amazement. So that's one purpose, perhaps, of this creation story, to bring us back to that primal sense of awe at the universe, the poetry of it, the beauty, the order of it. But there's much more to it than just the feeling of awe. Whereas scientific explanations, such as the Big Bang or evolution, tell us how this amazing universe came into being and how it works, our Torah is trying to get at why the world is here and what human beings are supposed to do. I don't actually think that the ancients who wrote this text, and yes, I believe human beings wrote it, I don't believe that these ancient people were so ignorant as to not see or have any inkling of any process of evolution. I don't think they were dumb. I think they probably did think scientifically to an extent, but that is not the purpose of this text. This Torah portion makes value judgments. Creation has a moral valence to it. God steps back from the work and sees that it is good, and in some instances, very good. God even blesses the creation that God has made. And when it comes to human beings, we are given the role of fostering and maintaining that goodness and blessing in the world. God departs from the poetic pattern of saying, let there be light, right? And then there was light, or let there be creeping things, and then there were creeping things. When God creates us. When God creates us, God says, and we'll have to leave the question of why it's in the plural for another day, but God says, let us make human beings in our image, according to our likeness. Some people say it's the royal we, or that God is talking to the angels, but what's important to me is that the pattern of the text changes here. Let us make human beings in our image, according to our likeness. And then God creates man and woman. God creates the earthlings, Adam, in God's own image. According to Heschel, the fact that we are created in the divine image teaches that we are meant to be walking reminders of and reflections of God's presence here on earth. We are here to notice the goodness of creation and then to tend to that goodness. We are not meant to only reach that first stage of amazement, which is awe in the face of the mystery, but we are meant to experience radical amazement, which is, in Heschel's words, to be so in awe of every aspect of the world and its creator that we cannot help but do our part to make it the best it can be. This kind of radical amazement leads inevitably to action on behalf of other human beings, on behalf of all living beings, on behalf of Earth itself. According to the Jewish mystics, to the Kabbalists, when God created the world, it was as if God was a potter. We have a potter in our midst, making pots out of clay and filling them with divine light. We, in fact, are pots. We are clay vessels that contain God's light. And our job is not just to hold it, but to let it shine and to help it shine from every corner of the earth. So I'm just going to close with one of my favorite prayers from our morning service. You are praised, who rolls out the rough, raw clay of the universe into delicate vessels of light. And from nothing at all, we could perceive in a world that has turned old, a shimmering new creation right before our eyes, made this moment just for us. How much of life reveals your presence. How much Torah unfolds from each new flower, from each new wave that breaks upon the sea. You are praised, who forms from the clay that cloaks our lives, the delicate vessels which contain our light. Page 586. Please rise. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. We think of our loved ones, those whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we've drawn into our hearts with our own. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. This week we mark the yard sites of Denise Berwick, Abraham Brightman, Sandra Berzin, Lester Feld, Saul Goldstein, Anna Needle Josoloff, Rose Kabatsnik, Howard Kaplan, Max Krasner, Sam Krupnikoff, Elaine Melian, Libby Nevis, Rhoda Patkin, Eleanor Reiner, David Ross, Martin Sagan, Harry Schwartz, Kenneth Stein, Sydney Swadosh, Charles Thorpe, and Matthew Wartell. And we also remember those who were laid to rest during the past month. Harriet Feldmar, grandmother of Tracy Kleinberg, Amichai Yarchi, who was a teacher of mine on a year program in Israel in high school, and Robert Patkin, nephew of Marlene Shar. And if there are other folks that you're remembering for Kaddish, you can say their names at this time. I'm thinking of all those victims of attacks in Jerusalem and the West Bank and Tel Aviv and Oregon and Arizona.
And the Doctors Without Borders.
And Doctors Without Borders, thank you, from the hospital in Afghanistan. So mourners and those who wish to join them, please rise for Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadosh shemei Rabbi, ve'alma divrach yivritei v'yamelech malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'adalah u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Le'amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei Dehusha V'rihu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba Yishmaya. L'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'ramah. U'yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and may we be of comfort to those who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. We'll all stand and close with Hava Nashira, page 643.
Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah. Hava Nashira, Shir Hallelujah, Shir Hallelujah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Had a wonderful day.
Should I find out if, John, can we leave?